my child so that I can go with her in the morning to see Minnie Butt off to her very, very first day of school. I hate trying to get out of my driveway sometimes. Most of the time. Oh, Mindy. That little pepper's right there. That's Indy. She lives across the street. Apparently she's going to come over and terrorize today. So I had some fun yesterday. Miss Allison's cows decided to break their barrier. It'd be a 10-second penalty in a rodeo, guys. Broke barrier. Fortunately, they're in a pen within a pen. So they got to spend the day roaming around the big pen with two of the male horses. One's a stud, one's a gelding. They seem to get along really well, so I mean, I'm not sure why they couldn't just like cohabitate, but might be due to the horns on the cows. Too much injury potential for the horses. If I had to venture a guess, I would say that's probably most likely why. But yeah, so it was kind of fun being able to watch them, free roam instead of being in their own individual pen. But I think I got to see a little bit of their personalities being able to be, out wandering. And at one point they were all like up against the fence, and the only thing separating, there's the fence line, the gravel road, and then the fence line for the house across the street. And all of their cows were up against their fence, and all of Allison's cows were up against her fence, and they were just like mooing back and forth at each other like, hey, never seen you before. Are you new to town? Are you new to our neighborhood? What's up? I thought it was pretty cool. It was funny to watch. Just the odd interactions. And it's kind of reminds me the same, even though the horses can see each other, they're in three separate paddocks, so when one gets out and then interacts with one of the other paddocks, it's interesting to see how, like, they greet each other like they've never seen each other before, even though the only thing that's ever been separating them was a farm fence prior to the escape. So it's like animal behavior is interesting. Anyway, but it's particularly one of the things that I love about living a country life is being able to experience those kind of situations that you don't get to when you live within the city limits. When you're in the city, your next door neighbor doesn't have cows or horses or goats or sheep, or I could walk down my street and hit all of the major livestock. So next to me there's cows and horses. Across the street from me is horses. Next to me on the other side, he's got goats and geese, and And then a little further down the road, they've got self-shedding sheep. You don't have to trim, you don't have to shear them. They shed by themselves. It's pretty cool. Is there anything I'm missing? Oh, pigs. Yeah, there's no. I don't think anybody on my street has pigs. It's like I wouldn't have them all covered. Pretty darn close. And I bet if I went roaming my neighborhood, I'd find somebody that's raising pigs. So I'll be stopping somewhere along the way to get myself some coffee. Allergies are really kicking up today, which is affecting my asthma, which sucks. I didn't realize until I got in the truck and I started driving. I don't know if I have an inhaler in here. I'll leave my truck on recirculate, so whatever's outside hopefully stays outside now. Vision is a little wonky today. I just have to decide what coffee I want. Do I want Dutch Bros? Do I want... What do I want? Who do I want? It makes sense that, you know, my vision's a little distorted today, considering I have not been to sleep yet. Just thinking about that. What made me think of it was the thing that kept me up all night, which was the pain in my feet, particularly my left foot. I definitely think it's time for me to call my ortho and see about getting changing tactics, moving away from dealing with my neck, because that seems to be a never-ending fight with my insurance company, and moving on to dealing with my legs, because the meds are barely touching it at this point. I'm having a lot of breakthrough response, reactivity. I don't even know. You know, it's that electrocution feeling of a pinched nerve. Getting a lot of that breakthrough, but I'm also experiencing like weird sensation on the tops of my feet. Like they've suddenly become very, very sensitive to anything touching them. So wearing socks hurts the tops of my feet. Heaven forbid I have to wear socks and shoes. Even one person to another, just touching the tops of my feet. It stings. It's not like it's a burning pain. It's not throbbing. It's not, dull. It's a stinging, burning pain in the tops of my feet. And I will say that I was noticing it on my ankle, on my left foot. I don't know, month and a half ago or so. But I didn't think anything of it because it was hitting right at the top where my shoe, the front opening of where the laces of the shoe are. And I figured, and it was only on the left foot, so I thought, it's probably just something in my shoe irritating my foot, and I didn't give it a hell of a lot of thought. But it has gotten progressively worse. I've checked my shoe. There's no stickers. I've added kind of a lining to the inside of my shoes to kind of make it a solid piece versus ridges from the tongue to the outer part of the shoe and where the toe is attached. When you've got all these bumps and ridges where all those parts are attached, I've actually glued in a liner to kind of make that all one smooth piece, and nothing is making it better. It's just getting, day by day, it gets progressively more and more sensitive. Again, especially my left foot. And I don't know if that's because I've already had 2 ablations done on the right and I've had no treatments done on the left. Maybe I still have some, the ablation, they burn off the nerve roots so you don't feel the electrical impulses. And I've had to have that done on my right leg twice. And maybe I'm thinking that maybe, the right isn't as bad because I've had those procedures done. And I potentially have a little bit of nerve deadening remaining. Whereas on the left foot, I have, full nerve activity, at least what the pinched nerve is allowing to occur. I don't know if any of that is true. I mean, it's what makes sense to me, given that, my right leg has been bad since 2017, 16, 15, 2016. And, my left has only been bad since 2021. So, it makes logical sense to me that the left is already this bad because it's never been treated before. I guess is what I'm trying to say. In a long-winded, roundabout, repeating myself kind of way. Still trying to decide where I want to stop for coffee. But I am going to run out of options here pretty darn quick without having to go like really, really out of the way. I think I have thought myself out of everything except Dutch Bros, to be honest, because after that, next coffee place is probably in Walla, actually, because I could stop and get like jarred coffee, like the Starbucks bottled coffees or the Mocha Locos, and those kinds of things at several gas stations along the way. place out at Burbank is brain fart. A fast food restaurant. It's more like truck stop, gas station, mini mart, and then fast food place. And then after that, there's Walla Junction. That is the junction of highways, and there's nothing there. And then, yeah. And then College Place / Walla Walla would be the next place to stop and get coffee. So, Dutch Bros it is. It does feel weird going over here. I haven't been down here since I left my job. This is how I used to get to work all the time, because I would stop at Dutch Bros on my way to work. Pretending I'm driving a diesel. Just put $98 in gas in the truck. I feel like I'm driving a diesel. It's gonna be crazy to see how long this line's gonna be. If it was a work day, probably wouldn't be so bad. But being that it's a holiday, this could be interesting. Oh, they paved Court Street. I wonder when that happened. Telling ya, I haven't been down here since I quit my job, which was May 31st of 2022. So it's been a year and a half, roughly. A year and 4 months. See how many of us are going to Dutch Brothers. 1, 2, all 3 of us. There's not too many people that make left turns at that light that aren't coming to Dutch Brothers. Definitely since this one went in, this port gas station, you know, they get gas business, but that's about it. They don't get a whole lot of like store business. I mean, snacks, obviously. People that are hungry will go in and get something to eat, but it'd be nice. I haven't been able to pay for a car behind me in forever. I'll be able to do that today. Wonder if I have any money left on my app. Oh, haha, I can't look. It's on my phone, which is currently recording. So, oh well. I'm gonna try to keep my phone from getting too hot while I'm sitting here. Oh shoot, I guess I don't want to do that because then you guys can't see. Hopefully my phone doesn't overheat. know how much time I'm driving into the sun. So the overpass that's over here to the right has seen a few deaths, not only vehicle deaths up and over the overpass, but also jumpers onto the highway below. It's happened more times than, you know, I'd like to say, unfortunately. Just get ready to put my car in park, or my truck in park. The king of coffee. Now this Dutch Bros will usually have two people with their little handhelds out here, like hopscotching cars. I don't know why they don't, you know, find it necessary to do that today, but. I love the sound of vinyl steering wheels, right? Oh my gosh, it feels so weird to be here. They've got somebody else coming out. Hello. I'm going to do a 32-ounce iced caramelizer, 2 extra shots, no whip, and I'm going to pay for the car behind me.
Oh, sweet. Oh, nice, sweet. Can I get you anything else?
Nope.
That's just the large iced caramelizer with 2 extra shots of whip.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And then whatever they're having.
Sweet.
How do you want to do it?
I might just go get her order and then have you pay for it.
That'll work.
Gotcha. I'll be right back.
depends on who the cashier is.
All right, sweet. It'll just be a 1781.
Is it a tapper? Or...
Oh, yeah, it'll tap for you.
Sweet.
Would you like to sit today?
Nah.
All right, sweet. You're all set. You have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Like I've done that before, and sometimes they'll like make me pay for my order, and then they'll go back and take the next car's order, and then come back and have me pay again. I've had them do like this gentleman just to take my order, take theirs, and then just pay. I come back and I pay for both. And I've also had it like, all right, well, we'll have you pay at the window. I'm like, okay, well, you're sitting right here with the little handy dandy machine for me to pay with. I don't understand why it has to be so difficult. So yeah. I mean, I realize that, when they take an order, it sends information into the booth that says, hey, this order goes with this car, this order goes with this car. So I definitely see the value in paying and then paying a second time for the, that way they see it as two separate orders. I don't know when that shut off. Happened to look up and it wasn't recording anymore. No, I don't know what I said. I'm not going to repeat it. It's kind of like when you go live and you've got your microphone muted forever and you don't even realize it and you're just jabbering away. Hello.
Yeah, that large ice caramelizer with 2 extra shots?
Yes.
You want a straw today?
Yes, please.
Straw for ya.
So what did they order?
What was that?
What did they order?
A small blended blue raspberry rebels.
Oh. I'm like,
I think it was, 2 small blue raspberry rebels.
they're pingers too. They like to bounce off the walls.
What are you up to today?
I'm heading to Walla Walla.
Walla Walla, what you gonna do up there?
I'm going to spend the night with my daughter, so
Awesome.
I can go with her in the morning for my granddaughter's first day of school.
Oh, awesome. How old is your granddaughter?
5.5.
Aw.
So they're like very, very, very first day of
Yeah.
ever going to school.
Is it gonna be preschool or kindergarten?
Kinder.
That's so awesome.
So
That's
yeah, she's all excited.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, I can't do this every year, but I'll definitely do it for the first year.
Seriously. Here's that for ya.
Alrighty.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Yeah, it was really cool. One day, I started to pay it forward. I said no whip, but that's okay. God, look at that line now. It never fails. But I started that, I was like the first one to, pay it forward and pay for the car behind me. And I'm on their Facebook group. And I'm sitting there, and I was getting notifications from Facebook, and I noticed that several hours later, they were posting that they'd had a record pay it forward line for this particular store. And I was like, oh, that's really kind of cool. Well, it was one of those days at work. And so I was like, screw it. Instead of hopping straight on the highway, I'm going to head down Court. I'll hit Dutch Bros on my way out. And I'm going to head home. Well, as I was going back through the line, one of the people that was there in the morning was actually working a double shift. So they were still working when I came through after work. And he was like, hey, weren't you the one that did the pay it forward first thing this morning? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, this is still your line. Which I thought it was pretty cool, because I went through at like 7, I usually rolled through 7:20, 7:30-ish. And then I would go back through at, 5:15, and the original pay it forward line is still going. And I got to receive back what I paid forward and then continue to pay it forward. So I thought that was I was like, yep, let's keep her rolling. And it actually went down as this store, not only this store, but this entire region's longest running pay it forward line. And I was like, that's pretty cool. It has never repeated. I've never been the recipient of it ever again. But it is, it's not, I don't do it to get that return, obviously. It's to make somebody else's day a little brighter, knowing that, hey, enjoy your beverage, enjoy your drink. In this case, they got 2 blue raspberry. It was them right next to me. 2 blue raspberry Red Bull something or others. Anyway, it's for me, it's about, like I said, it's about brightening somebody else's moment, and hopefully it brightens the rest of their day a little bit. Just that act of kindness by a stranger. Well, you notice the new paving stopped. I just thought I'd take you through town because, like I said, it's been over a year since I've driven down here. So the top end changed. The top half of the road still looks like crap down here. The road is still crap. Wow, they finally tore this building down. Wonder what's gonna go in there. That building had been empty for a long time. It was a business building. So coming up here on the left is another, did I pass it? No, it's up here. Another building. On the right is our high school. But there's a building up here on the left that's been empty as long as I've lived here. And that I moved here in 2000. This place has always been empty. It has for rent signs, for sale signs, alternating forever. But it's never been occupied as long as I've lived here. And this place up here on the left, this big square building. So this empty house right here, looks like they're finally doing some renovations in there. But this 2-tone, 3-tone building right here with all the glass windows. That second floor corner window was my office. And then this is another, so the building I just passed, bottom floor is dental, second floor is behavioral health, so mental health, substance use. Third floor was like prenatal care, so our WIC was up there. The MMS, maternity services, they go into the hospitals, they teach women how to, get the baby to latch on, proper holding for nursing, nutrition, all of that mom, all that mom stuff is done up on the third floor. And then the building that was next to it on the other side of the light, that's our medical building. So there's an urgent care and the primary care is there. The pharmacy's in there. The eye doctor is on the second floor. Is there anything else in that building? I don't think there is. I'm just trying to remember. Oh, in the lab. Duh. I'm like, I used to have to go over there all the time. What did I go over there for? To drop off pee. And let me tell you, I do not miss having to collect urine samples. It is the, it is the down and dirty, necessary part of substance use treatment, unfortunately. I mean, you can't send somebody through a program and never do a UA on them because, people in active addiction are not known to be honest, especially about their use. So, as disgusting as it is and as a pain in the butt that it is a necessary evil to do those UAs. It was really nice when they switched and we got the contract with the lab that was right there in our own building. We used to have to mail them out, believe it or not. And we'd mail them halfway across the state. It would take us 10 days to get a UA back. So it's like, okay, great, it's positive, now what? It was positive 10 days ago, now what? It's like, how do you confront a client about something that happened almost 2 weeks ago? And now you got to do another UA because now they're going to tell you, oh yeah, I relapsed, but I'm not using anymore. All right, guys, we're back again. I had to delete a bunch of stuff off of my phone in order to be able to keep recording. Looks like I can only have 34 minutes, and then I'm going to have to stop and delete some more stuff. It's so frustrating having all of this conundrum going on with my phone. So 34 minutes. I don't think I'll make it all the way to Walla before I have to delete, before it'll cut off, and I'll have to go in, delete some more. Hold on a sec. I need to make sure it even recorded the first 2 parts. Hold up. Okay, we're back. Yes, it has recorded the first segments. But I still only have, 32 minutes left of recording before I have to go in and delete a bunch of stuff. Well, I had my phone in my hand. I actually deleted some more pictures and a couple of videos, and it still didn't buy me any more time. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out. Should have brought my selfie stick with me. Didn't think about it until now. Dang it. That means I don't go anywhere in Walla that I want to record for you guys. I have to hold my phone in my hand, which means bouncing it back and forth as one hand goes numb, and I put the phone in the other hand to wake one up, and then the other one falls asleep, and I gotta switch it to the other hand, and that hand falls asleep, then I switch it to the other hand until that hand falls asleep, and rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, and repeat. I am looking forward to not having numb hands all the time. Kind of wishing at this point that I could have gotten both of them done at the same time. Just gotten it over with. So this place right here on the left is known as Crazy Mary's. Don't know why. My husband would know. I don't. I just know that that's what everybody calls it. It's kind of a shithole, to be honest. It's out here in the middle of nowhere. This is all industrial and farm. So it's a lot of farm trucks that come through there. come in, stop into the store, and so it just tends to be really dirty. And I think, really to no fault of their own in a lot of cases, because you can't control what, what the farm hands walk through the door wearing on their clothes. I remember the days my husband driving truck, and he was driving potato truck. So for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's potato waste that is taken to feedlots and given to cows. So potato waste comes from factories that make like French fries and tater tots and that kind of stuff. So it runs through their machines and it peels all the potatoes. Well, all of those potatoes go into a vat, which then gets pumped into a truck to be hauled to a feedlot. Well, I know I can't possibly be the only person on planet Earth that has either forgotten about a bag of potatoes in their pantry, or one fell out of the bag and it rolled down to the floor and got into a back corner and you didn't even know it until you started smelling it. Can't be the only one. I know I'm not the only one, but it is a pretty distinctive smell. If you've ever smelled rotten potatoes, you will never forget the smell. You will never mistake it for anything else. Well, combine that with the smell of cow manure. And that's what my husband came home smelling like every single day. Because he would absorb the potato waste smells just from transporting it. And then it was his, as the driver of the truck, it was his responsibility to unhook the trailer and all that. So he was getting out of the truck and having to slosh his way through manure to be able to load and unload the trailer that he was hauling. And we had a little makeshift shower out on the front porch of our house, and we were right in the middle. We were on old base housing, so duplexes, and our duplex was right next to the next duplex, which was right across from the other duplex. There really was no privacy. But, we kind of rigged up this little like hardwired device around our front door with some tarp, and we had our hose hooked up in the front, and I would have to, he would strip, and I would have to like shower him down every day when he'd get home from work before he could even walk into the house. And he definitely had like dedicated work clothes, dedicated work shoes, because there's no way in hell those clothes were going into the washing machine with the clothes that I wear and the clothes that our children wore. It's like there's no way, because all of our clothes would smell like his work clothes. And so it was like his clothes would just like pile until there was a full load of it, and I would wash his load, and then I'd have to bleach the washing machine out. And it was just, I was so glad when he quit that job. It was like, not to mention, the road he had to travel between the potato plant and the feedlot is pretty notorious around here. It's pretty dangerous. Many people have died on it. Mostly due to bad decision making behind the wheel. It's a 2-lane, kind of like I'm on right now. And so people get impatient about semis, because they have to go slower. They're bigger, they're heavier, they're fully loaded. They can only go so fast. And people would get impatient and try to pass a semi and head on into somebody. In fact, one of our good friends at the time, he was one of our Boy Scout leaders for my boys. he was killed exactly that way on that very road on my daughter's birthday. She remembers him fondly. Because the troop that my boys were in were very supportive of what is going on up here. I mean, the person in this little escape was actually the one doing the right thing. But I hate this corner. It's so hard to see around. Especially with my back, because I can't turn that far. But yeah, she remembers him fondly because the troop, I was starting to say before I got distracted. The troop that my boys were in were very supportive of the female siblings of all their Boy Scouts, and so they were allowed to participate in a lot of the Boy Scout activities within that troop, and sometimes they could do things like the group campouts where there was multiple troops involved, but most of the time, a majority of the time, it was just within the troop. Like my daughter actually did sprinkler blowouts one year with the Boy Scouts, because they needed hands, and it was like, and she was willing, and she sold, when she was a Girl Scout, she actually sold Boy Scout popcorn with her brothers, went door to door with them, sold popcorn with her brothers, and they gave her a Boy Scout patch, and we had to, so irritating. We had to petition the Girl Scout Council to be able to put the Boy Scout patch on her uniform. And I'm like, this is so stupid. She didn't last long at Girl Scouts. It was, I was her Girl Scout leader. But it just wasn't for her. It wasn't for me. I'm not a girly girl. She's not a girly girl. And Girl Scouts was more about cooking and baking and sewing, and Sam wanted to be out there learning archery and learning how to build a fire, how to tie knots. She wanted to learn the boy stuff, because she's a tom girl. She always has been. I have a funny story about her being a little tomboy. But Dave was traveling that highway coming home. I think he was coming home from work, if I remember correctly. It might have been going to work. I don't recall now if it was to or from, but it was really, really, really early in the morning, and yeah, he was hit head on and was killed in the crash. So that was many years after my husband was driving that same highway. By then, we had left Moses Lake and were living in probably Pasco by then. But it's just crazy. I mean, yeah. There's always reminders at how small the world really is, because what are the chances of that meeting? But nonetheless, yeah, so Sam has always kind of like walked a line between feminine and masculine. Like, she doesn't dress like a boy, but she's not frills and bows and glitter and purples and pinks. She's not that kind of girl. She likes to wear darker colors, but in better fitting clothes, if that makes sense. So, I mean, there's no mistaking her for a boy, I guess, based on how she dresses. But she's always preferred the male activities over female activities. She loves to shoot guns. She does love to draw. I would encouraging her to put some of our work onto her YouTube page, as well as her crochet stuff, but we'll see what happens there. But working on cars, she's always kind of dabbled in the masculine activities while maintaining a feminine persona. But that really did start when she was quite young. One of my favorites with her though was, we were friends with a family, and they lived on a farm, had lots of animals, horses, goats, rabbits, chicken, a real farm. And all the girls would go through the fence to get into the pasture, and Sam would hop the fence like the boys. And it wasn't so bad. What made it funny for me and interesting to watch was when she kind of started shifting. So when she was young, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, she was all boy. She was jeans and t-shirt. She was mud, you name it, and she was in it. But she always had long hair, but it was always pulled back. So she could, she could probably easily be mistaken for a boy when she was younger. But somewhere around, 8, 9, 10 or so, that kind of started to shift, and I started seeing a little bit of the girl stuff come out. And oddly enough, when she decided she was going to start dressing like a girl, she also decided she was not going to show her ankles. She wanted to wear dresses. She didn't want to show her ankles. So, I was really into sewing then. And I would buy huge bolts of huge bolts of fabric for $1.50 a yard or something, really super cheap. And I would just make a whole bunch of stuff, different shirts, shorts, nightgowns, dresses, skirts, you name it. And I would, until the bolt was gone. And so she had all these different things in the same fabric. And I'd buy another bolt and do the same thing and try to mix and match and, that kind of stuff. Well, here is my daughter walking this line between feminine and masculine. And she's out there in a full-length skirt, all the way down to her ankles, chasing with the group and trying to get out into the pasture. And I'm inside, and I'm just kind of watching things go down. I think we were canning or pitting cherries or something, and we were doing something with fruit inside. And the other mom and I go, hey, and I tap her on the shoulder, and I go, watch this. And we're watching the kids, and there's my daughter. She hikes her skirt all the way up to her waist, climbs the fence, jumps down on the other side, stands up and fluffs her skirt back down to her ankles and prances off through the pasture like it was nothing. I was like, okay. I think she needs to start wearing shorts or something under her dresses until, we figure this out, because that was totally not cool. Showing everybody her underwear just so she could go over the fence instead of through it. Because, I'm not a girl. I don't go through the fence. I go over the fence. just I just remember that day, and just how she like and like she's like twitching and wiggling, fixing her dress and fluffing it back down to her ankles, and it was like you know. And I don't know, I guess if I was more educated back then, I probably would have realized that that was my first sign of her sexual orientation. But it didn't. It didn't clue me in. That I didn't even realize that, you know, that she was of a different orientation until she was in high school. And she initially came out as bisexual. She now identifies as pan. But, you know, yeah. Looking back, it's like, oh, duh. The clues were all there. Yay for 70. I don't know how my phone is still recording. It said I only had 32 minutes, but I think it's still going. My little red bar is up there, so I think it's still recording. Sorry. Person behind me. So what happens? I did it again. I was looking into my phone and I could see the road in front of me, but my brain is interpreting it as behind me. So I didn't realize that there was a car like literally on my ass, because I hadn't gotten up to speed yet when the speed changed. I'm like, oh, whoops. Oops. This is still recording. 1945, yeah, it says still going. But anyway, those were some good times. And I say we were friends with the family because it wasn't exactly reciprocated, as you know, we again in the moment didn't recognize things for what it was. And then once everything blew up and was able to get out of the situation and out of the, you know, get out of the eye of the storm, it was like, oh my God, how did I not see that all this time this was a one-sided relationship? You know, that I was always giving and she was always taking, and there was never any giving in return. I definitely did not see it while I was in the middle of it, and frustrated with people in my life that were like, well, we did. Why didn't you say something? You know, why did nobody say, hey, you know, this is what we notice? And I think that's a big reason why I am the way I am now, you know, and I call it as I see it. And I call out bad behavior, whether you're my friend or you're my enemy, because I know how hurt I was with how the relationship ended, which I will not go into, but it was dirty. I'll just leave it at that. But I was very hurt by it, you know, and I think had the people that were close to me, that were actually my good friends and my significant other, no less, had anybody said, hey, you know, have you ever noticed this? Or, you know, when I see you guys together, I noticed this. Or had anybody said anything, they probably could have saved me a hell of a lot of pain from that relationship. I still carry some of that. this many years later, it was in 2005 when everything imploded in that relationship. And I still am impacted by the whole experience. You know, that 5 years of me being in that friendship with her has colored and jaded every relationship I've had since. It makes me makes me mistrust people. I have a hard time trusting people. And that's, also why I don't believe anything unless I see it or hear it with my own eyes. Prove it to me. If you can't prove it, as far as I'm concerned, you're not being honest. So, if you don't have proof, don't tell me. Don't say it to me. Because I spent 5 years in a dishonest relationship and never noticed it, never saw it until after I was burned by it. I've never let that happen to myself again. I'm always watching, I'm always listening, and I'm always taking notes. When enough things stack up against somebody, that's when I sever that relationship. And it's based on what stacks up on my side, not on anybody else's. What you do to somebody else doesn't affect our relationship in general, but there are some behaviors that are lines in the sand for me. And once that line is there, I don't go back. But that was hard. Those first couple years after that relationship ended, because her kids and my kids grew up together. They spent 5 years calling each other brother and sister. And my kids called her mom, and her kids called me mom. We were mom one and mom two to each other's kids, and when the relationship imploded, I had every intention of allowing my children to still engage with hers. But she was not, again, she did not reciprocate that in any way, shape, or form. In fact, she told her children that if they talked to me at all, they would be grounded. And so for several years after the implosion, I would be like at the rabbit barn and I'd hear somebody whisper my name, and I'd look and there'd be one of her kids like come here with their finger, and it's like a quick hide in a corner, hide behind a building to give a quick hug and a hey, how are you, I miss you, I love you, and it was so hard because I loved those kids as they were my own, And my kids were hurt by the whole situation because I think they realized, again, that was not reciprocated by her. And then her kids were ripped away from mine for no other reason other than I called their mom out. I called her out for her behavior and told her I was not going to support what she was doing. But, in the end, as the kids grew up and as each one turned 18, boom, there's another friend request. Boom, there's another request. I follow all 5 of her children. All 5 of her children are on my Facebook. I've been to the wedding of one of them. In the end, she's still a horrible person. I see her posting all the time in a in a group, in a Facebook group that is meant to help like low income people or, you know, people in need. And I see her posting in there all the time saying that she's a nonprofit group and she's taking donations and blah 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 blah. Well, what she does is she gets donations from people and then she turns around and has a yard sale and keeps all the money for herself. And so every time I see her report, and that's the old behavior, that's the same stuff. That's the same stuff she was doing in 2005 that broke this friendship up. And here she is, you know, in 2023, still pulling the same shit. And so I'm constantly having to I guess I don't have to. I can stay out of it, but that screws everybody. I don't think this guy realizes that the speed limit dropped to 60 back there. It's still doing 70. You know, but I message the administrator of the page and say, hey, you know, here's links to her ads for yard sales in places like Craigslist and on Facebook Marketplace, and you know, and these are the same items that she just collected from other people within this group. And then, you know, the other day, well, not the other day, couple months ago, I guess. I have a really hard time tracking time now that I'm not working, but it's probably been 3 months. Somebody sends me a screenshot from that same group, and here's this person in there trying to find a medical, like a personal, a medical aid, I don't know, like an in-home caregiver and position. And she's like, yeah, I've been a nurse for 13 years and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then it was like, you know, I can only work in a private setting. You know, and I'm like, yeah, because you've lost your license to practice. Because, guess what? Wonder why? She stole a prescription pad from the doctor's office she was working at and was writing herself prescriptions of hydrocodone and oxycodone and OxyContin. So when she was caught, she refused to do any kind of treatment. That was also part of why, because she was stealing pain meds from her mom back in 2005. That was another part of our implosion. Because I found out she was doing that, and I told her that if she did not report herself, I would report her. But, you know, here we are, I don't remember what year it was, like 2008, 2009 maybe? Yeah. She stole a prescription pad and was writing herself prescriptions for opiates. And then when she got caught, she refused any kind of treatment, any kind of sanctions that the state put on her. So they revoked her license. It's a permanent revocation. And given the fact that she's still doing the same behavior, makes me think that she's still using. She did all kinds of, yeah. She essentially stole her daughter's identity, her oldest child's identity. Used her social security number to get an ID in her daughter's name. Used her social security number and her birth records and everything to get access to her medical records. Gave herself power of attorney over her own child for the purposes of getting prescriptions. Talk about active addiction. Yeah. And the things that people in active addiction do. It's pretty bad in my book. Needless to say, she has tried several times to contact me. And has tried to maneuver her way back in. and I've declined friend requests on Facebook. I did have coffee with her once because, you know, she messaged me on Facebook and said, hey, you know, I found God, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, whatever. You know, and I know that forgiveness is not for me. You know, it's not for her, it's for me. And same on her side. Her getting forgiveness is for her. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll give her that. And so I agreed to meet her for coffee. And I listened to her whole spiel about how, you know, she has found God and now she's repenting for drive by Braille. Repenting for all the things that she'd done and all the harm she's done to people, and you know, da 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 blah 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 blah. And at the end of the conversation, she's like, "So I would really like to give our friendship another chance." And I'm like, "You would like to give our friendship another chance? Excuse me? Excuse me? No." And we're back again. Had to delete some more video. Anyway, I told her in absolutely in no uncertain terms will that friendship ever be rekindled. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with her. I didn't wish ill on her, although it befell her anyway. Karma's a bitch. I say that all the time. Karma is a bitch, and she is an angry bitch. Don't fuck with her. Because what you put out, karma will come back at you threefold, tenfold. So, karma has bitten her in the butt quite a bit. But that was really the last time. That was the last time I talked to her. And the only reason it came out was because her daughter was missing. Her young twins, they're the youngest, is in active addiction. Still is. And MIA again off of Facebook. It's really the only way anybody has any way to contact her. She hasn't been on Facebook in months. Nobody really knows where she's at right now. Or if she's even still alive. But she went missing. I mean, she went from daily posting on Facebook, 3, 4, 10, 15 times a day, to dead silence, radio silence. And so everybody was like, hey, everybody was posting, have you seen her? Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Hey, if you see her, please have her contact, and everybody was trying to find her, myself included. And unfortunately, what that did was put me on her mom's radar. And she, for whatever reason, felt that because I was so concerned about her child, that I was opening a doorway for her. And I'm like, yeah, no. No, and no, and no, and no. 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 And I'm glad I kept that as a no, because, like I said, 2023, she's still engaging in the same nasty behavior. I don't know if I can turn here or not. Nope, road closed. I wish they'd hurry up with the construction here, because this is annoying. This is where I need to turn. The road is closed again. Still. I'll have to try to remember how to use a four-way stop. place over here. This little greenhouse on the right is where their friends used to live. Person that Sam used to consider her best friend. And yeah, turns out her best friend was the same kind of best friend I was just talking about. Unfortunately, my daughter fell into the same trap. Fell into a relationship that was all give, and take. You know, she was doing all the giving, and the friend was doing all the taking, and never giving anything in return. So, unfortunately, she did not learn from my experience. I hate how narrow these roads are. And you get these big ass trucks parking on the, parking on the street, because I mean there's no driveway parkings in most of these houses. But yeah, it's like cars on both sides, narrow street to begin with, and like, ugh, it's like miserable. Listen, I can't wait for them to finish all this damn construction. Fortunately, I don't have to come here very often. Well, I could come here as often as I want, or as often as I can physically handle. This drive is very hard on my back and on my neck, but it's coming to see my daughter and my granddaughter, and my bonus kids, my bonus daughter, my bonus granddaughters. So in the end, it's worth it, but this construction sucks. Construction sucks. It's funny, we were at the rodeo the other night. We're like trying to drop Mina off. We're coming from the opposite direction at night. It was like, I think we went around the block like 3 times before we finally got to the right house. It was like, we don't know where we're going. It's dark and we can't see. It's kind of funny. Hopefully garbage is already run, since I'm kind of blocking the garbage can in. Alright guys, we are here. So thanks for driving with me. I'm trying to get my shoes on now. And talk to you later. Hit that like button, subscribe, share, do all the YouTubey things, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.